How's it going? Welcome back, my sinners, to another great video here on... That's right, you guessed it. Get pumped up, get excited, grab your little twang between your legs and fiddle around with it in a family-friendly sort of way, because... That's right, today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite television shows that has come out in recent history, Mr. Robot, okay? Now, lots of people like Mr. Robot, but in the grand schemes of television, I'm talking about television, okay? Not Netflix, not, all these... Well, actually, it is on a streaming service. It's not actually pure television, but, for once, something that isn't Netflix related, something that stands by itself, even if it is tied to a dirty corporation, it's still television. And I gotta say, I don't really like TV that much anymore. I don't like television programs, okay? Movies are basically where it's at, and that's only stuff that you can stream. The big mainstream movies that come out in theaters, like Avengers and all that crap, is absolutely terrible. So it's really rare these days we find good television shows, and Mr. Robot was one of them. It's still pretty underappreciated. It's still not exactly king of the crop. Lots of people know about it, but it's not like as big as, let's say, The Walking Dead, which I don't know how many seasons The Walking Dead has been going on. I jumped out of that as soon as they started dressing up as knights and fighting each other for like the 5th time. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, Mr. Robot, okay, if you don't know what Mr. Robot is, it's about a crazy man, like myself, and basically he starts a hacker organization called F Society, and basically tries to take out the criminal, overlords, the people, the top 1%, the people Alex Jones has all warned us about, the evil people who are in charge of everything, the richest of the rich that control, the secrets behind everything, They're the masters of society, and basically it's his job to take them out, and he hacks everyone. He goes to see his therapist. He has a whole complicated issues surrounding his family and his dad and stuff like that, and it's all very, very interesting, okay? So, as a show, it's a very, very nice, okay? If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. If you, hate corporations and you hate, these kind of positive TV shows, if you want something that isn't exactly gonna make you feel super positive, but makes you think about stuff, then Mr. Robot is definitely the show to watch. It's very dark, but it's amazing, okay? So, I'm assuming most people have seen it, so I'm just gonna jump in to spoilers from now on, okay? Spoiler alert, okay? I just want to talk about the ending, okay? Because I feel like, this has been going on for quite a while now. I think 4 seasons or 4 seasons, I think. And, I recently saw the ending. I'm a bit late, but I don't really care. Now, to me, the whole ending could have gone, 2 different ways, okay? So either the end machine of White Rose's, master plan was actually real, and Elliot got transported into an alternate universe, and, he can take his other's place, and that would have been interesting. But I feel like it was kind of like the first season and the second season were amazing, absolutely amazing. The third season kind of lost it for me a little bit. Like, I felt like they were just kind of filling in the gaps, like they weren't quite sure where to go anymore, and they were just kind of buying their time with kind of filler episodes. Not all of them, but some of them just felt like they didn't really have much substance to them, not too much like developing the actual overreaching, storyline and the main plot. But then, it started to go more internal in the 4th season with, him concentrating on Elliot's mind. I mean, all the seasons, if you actually look back at it, it is all focused about, his mental state and, his mind state and everything like that, because we see that he creates lots of different characters for himself. But I felt like it was a bit of a cop-out at the end when, they said, basically, it's all in his head, and the hacker Elliot that we know and love is actually just a fake personality that the real Elliot created, basically to protect himself and, to give himself a personality that could actually fight back against the evil systems that are in place, and to make him feel safe because of his rough upbringing as a child, getting molested as a kid by his own dad. so he tried to make him his friend even though he was an enemy as well. That was all very cool, and I kind of like that ending, and it's really a story about, self-development. It's a story about, kind of, there's going to be things in life that are always going to hit you really bad. There's going to be troubles in life, and it's basically a show about a man who has to deal with that, and you get to see his crazy mindset in how he deals with it. But I think that can kind of relate to everyone, because we all know that we all have, something bad going on in our lives. We all have some kind of tragedy, or if we don't now, we certainly will in the future. And it's basically a show about overcoming, your failures, overcoming, bad stuff that, has happened to you that you can't really change. And I think that's really interesting. But I just feel like they could have done something really more. Like, I feel like the whole White Rose thing was just kind of rushed, and in the end they didn't really know what to do with it, and it was kind of convenient to say, actually, it's all in his head, it doesn't matter. Look, we'll prove it. We'll go back and edit and show you, edited clips of how he created these characters. And I guess that does make sense, because a lot of it, we could see that was just in his mind, with the whole prison section where we thought he was somewhere else, but actually he was just in prison. We see that he can just create these fake realities. So it does make sense. I just felt like it would have been much better if they went for the completely real approach, and that, the master plan had a bit more payoff to it and had a bit more depth to it. That would have been more interesting to see, I felt, because it's always a bit of a kick in the face to the viewers when it's like, actually, it's all in his head, it was all a dream, it was all just like a fantasy trip. It could be anything. This has happened before a lot in movies and stuff like that. And although, it does actually work well in this scenario, and I feel like, I'm not complaining about the ending really, I think it was pretty good, but I just feel like it would have been better if it was more open to interpretation, which it still is, but I feel like it is definitely just trying to say it was all actually in his head. But I felt like if they went more in depth with the finale, with the master plan of White Rose, and the alternate universe did pay off, and it was more complex than we thought, or it opened up to like infinite universes, or something like it didn't even open up to a new world. It just opened like it was just like a reset of humanity or something. Just something different would have been appreciated, just to give us more choice. But in the end, I think it was very good, and you should definitely go see it. And also, Mr. Robot, to me, is a very important show, especially nowadays, because people need to realize that, yes, this is just a TV program. You could argue maybe it's reality in another universe. Who knows? Anything's possible. But I'm just saying, in modern day, nowadays, it's actually very important, Mr. Robot, because it actually says a lot about our society, the state of, humans, how we are just completely, vulnerable because of technology, and how much it destroys our psyche, and how much, these big tech corporations and, governments who are, super powerful, the ones who do have all the power, all the money, how they literally do control our lives, and how we've seen so much corruption in so many, corporations with, running like sweatshops, like, Apple, all these different things, people just brush under the rug. No one really cares if all our information is sold. No one really cares that, we are literally slaves to Google, and they are basically gods to us now, i.e. Evil Corp. These are things that we should actually be fighting against in reality, because they are actually slowly destroying our lives and basically just taking away all our freedom. And that's why I feel like people should get more protective with their own rights, and we should actually try and fight this kind of global information war that is happening. And the big tech companies, we shouldn't let them just dominate our lives. So we can do that in many ways, just by limiting ourselves with technology, or actually coming together as a big collective and actually just fighting back and rioting against these companies, and saying, no, we won't use you, But of course that won't ever happen because people are lazy and they just see convenient things, and if it's convenient for them, then we'll just accept it and we'll all become zombie slaves. I just hope we can actually band together and actually make sure we look into these people and their companies, and actually they get the justice they deserve for all the things that they have done wrong in the past. And I'm talking about real stuff here, real shit that these people get away with. And they are out there, okay? I'm not just like some Mr. Robot crazy like fanboy. You know, there is so much corruption with big companies, and it's absolutely sick. And we should really focus on, you know, limiting our information with them and using them so much, and making sure that they actually, you know, get what they deserve and read everything that they make you sign. Don't just be a mindless zombie, and hopefully that way the future won't be so bleak. Anyway guys, that's my thought on the whole season of Mr. Robot. It's fantastic. The finale, what I thought was pretty good, the final episode, you know, so that was my little review. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. But if you've watched this far into the video, I'm assuming you already have seen it. So anyway, make sure to like, subscribe, and lick my little twang. And make sure to stream my music on Spotify, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you, and don't forget to be a Google slave. Alright.